Oh, I just...
You just inhale it.
Is it all over my face?
No.
Okay. There are so many different types of exfoliants in skincare, and it can probably get a little overwhelming. I'm Alex, I'm a cosmetic chemist and the co-founder of Educated Mess, and today we're going to talk about the different types that there are. We've got a very special guest with us today, Veronica. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Veronica. I am a TikTok beauty content creator. I do primarily makeup and skincare, mostly on the luxury end of the spectrum. For my full-time jobs, I'm a regional sales manager for tech sales, but I started doing content creation on TikTok about 2 years ago. Gotten on TikTok and I started watching these makeup and skincare videos, but all I was seeing was really young people, and I'm 44. I started making content so that other women over 40 could learn the things that I was learning, and it just kind of took off. And I'm not a big creator, I'm still a baby creator, but I enjoy it, and I've learned so much over the last 2 years. Big skincare junkie and a big fan of Alex and Educated Mess.
I'm a fan of Veronica too. Veronica was like actually the first person that ever stitched one of my videos, and it terrified me. I was like, are they gonna be mean? But she was being so sweet, so that's how we became friends actually. Today we're gonna be making an exfoliant. So what kinds of things are you looking for in an exfoliant? Like how sensitive is your skin? What do you prefer, hydration, or are you oily?
So my skin I have built up over the years, the tolerance. So right now I use an extra strength exfoliant, and I don't have any problems with it. I use it like first step of my skincare, and then I go in with hydration after.
Okay, so she showed me the one that she uses. It has glycolic and salicylic acid. So we're gonna be doing an AHA, BHA type thing today. We also have some really fun enzymatic exfoliants. Those proteolytic enzymes can help slough off dead skin cells as well, but they tend to be a little gentler. So I like using those to boost the benefits of like your glycolic without really contributing more to irritation. And then we also have some polyhydroxy acids too.
Awesome.
So gluconolactone and lactobionic acid. PHAs are also a very gentle way of helping boost the exfoliation benefits that you're getting out of a formula. I don't love PHAs by themselves, but I find that like in a formula with AHAs or BHAs, you can really get some good combination.
I love talking about exfoliation because I think it's so misunderstood. Especially you hear so much on TikTok and social media about it, and people are scared of exfoliating, but it has literally made such a difference in my skin and like how makeup looks and how skincare goes on.
Right, and that's the point too. People I think tend to automatically assume, oh, exfoliation, that means I'm getting a 40% lactic acid chemical peel and my skin is gonna peel off. But like we were saying, there are so many gentler options now. You can do a time release delivery system with arginine, or you could do enzymes instead of AHAs. You could do the fruit acid blend that provides the same benefits of AHAs with much lower irritation. You could do PHAs, you know? There's just so many options out there now for people, and especially like if you're on tretinoin or something. I also love urea. We didn't talk about urea today, but that's another one I love. You did say that you want to do more of a liquid rather than like a slight viscosity?
Correct,
Okay, cool. That makes my job a little easier too. A lot of thickeners are not compatible at low pH, so it's hard to find something that won't pill up and stuff. So that's why I said it just makes my job a little easier. So we're gonna start with safety protection equipment. So we're gonna do a combination of AHAs, BHAs, PHAs, and enzymatic exfoliants. How's it sound?
Awesome.
Ready to go?
Amazing, yes.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'll act like I know what I'm doing here.
So like a lot of cosmetic formulas, we're gonna start with water. It's gonna carry all the other ingredients in it.
Always distilled water, I'm assuming?
Yes, yes. We just don't have a water hookup here. So when I'm making stuff in the lab, I just use gallons of distilled. But when it's anything that you buy from Educated Mess, you guys made in a GMP facility. So now we're gonna preserve the formula so there's not stuff growing inside of it. I like parabens when I'm making stuff in the lab. Very easy to formulate with, and they do not cause hormone disruption, despite what the fearmongers might tell you.
I'm making a mess.
Hey, the sign on the wall says stay messy. You're in character. Do you have typically dry skin?
I do.
One of her favorite products is Super Saturated from Experiment. It has 30% glycerin. So we are gonna add a little glycerin right now to make sure that this product is very hydrating. You can tell how much glycerin I use because this is how big my thing is of it.
Do you just make all this up in your head as you go? Or?
No, I have the formula, I just memorized it. I do write these formulas ahead of time.
Mine's gonna be extra hydrating.
There you go. One of the products that she uses has glycolic and lactic acid in it. Since we're doing a combination of glycolic and lactic and salicylic and the fruit enzymes, let's go kind of low. We won't go a full like 10-15% glycolic. We'll start about 5.
Okay.
So alpha hydroxy acids like glycolic and lactic can promote exfoliation, help regulate cell turnover, slough off some of those dead skin cells. It can help reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. But I think people tend to be surprised that they can also be very hydrating. So with something like lactic acid, for instance, when you put this in a formula, it's going to exist both as the lactic acid acidic species and sodium lactate.
Okay.
So sodium lactate is actually part of skin's natural moisturizing factor. So that actually exists in your skin cells to help bind water and help skin with water retention. So sodium lactate and lactic acid are existing together in a formula with lactic acid. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, it can be very hydrating as well. Lactic acid smells so gross. I hate it.
Smells like sour milk.
Yeah, yes. Well, I guess that the lactic acid cycle or whatever. So I have sensitive skin, and lactic acid is a slightly larger molecule than glycolic, and I tend to find that my skin tolerates lactic better, but my nose doesn't. You also did not like the smell of lactic acid.
No,
I did not. It smells like dirty feet to me.
It smelled like not rotten milk, but like sour milk to me. Just, it did not smell great.
I love lactic acid, what it does for my skin. Most of the time when I have a product with lactic acid, I just can't use it because of the smell. That's another reason that we used that fruit acid blend instead of like straight lactic acid. You can get more activity without that nasty smell. So now we're actually gonna get a little more of the AHA exfoliation from a fruit acid complex. So this contains orange, lemon, sugar maple, bilberry, and sugar cane extract.
Okay.
But this blend naturally contains lactic and malic and tartaric acids, I think also glycolic. So it was actually shown by the supplier that it can gently promote exfoliation, very similar in benefits to glycolic and lactic at equivalent levels with a much lower irritation potential. So this is actually what we use in golden hour at a very low level that was not gonna contribute to irritation, but just helps give like a very gentle daily boost. So speaking of like gentle exfoliant options, so one of my personal favorites is that fruit blend. So when we were formulating golden hour, we used a very low level of this because we wanted to be promoting exfoliation very gently to where like you could do it every day. You can combine it with your other acids and it won't matter, but it will do something a little bit on its own to help promote a more radiant appearance. So we used that in ours, and that was what we used today because it's just a good way to do it gently. But the cool thing about that, I typically tell people not to go with naturals because of like it's inconsistent levels that you're getting each time. But that extract blend was actually standardized, so the supplier will go measure the lactic and glycolic each time, and if they need to add some back in to reach the level that we're expecting, they do. So I like that.
Well, and that's probably one of the reasons I like the golden hour so much. I mean, it just has worked better for me than any other vitamin C. So it's, you guys hear me talk, well, if you guys follow me.
I didn't even have to pay her to say that.
Anyone who follows me knows that I talk about it constantly. And I have never noticed any smell from the golden hour.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really have a smell.
No.
But it's actually funny you mentioned that too, because I think some people think that it has essential oils because of all the fruit. So they'll see the lemon, the citrus, lemon and orange extracts. They're like, oh, you put essential oils. And they're like, no, it doesn't have a smell. And all of the allergens that would potentially cause irritation from the essential oil are not in there because it's just the extract. It's the water soluble extract.
Yeah.
So
I've recommended it to so many people and no one has ever told me that they like had sensitivity issues or anything.
When we did clinical testing, we actually got it specifically tested on people with self-perceived sensitive skin, and the majority of them were able to tolerate daily use. So
very
we'd
gentle.
love to see it. Thank you. I'm glad you think so. Yeah. I also like using this as my source of lactic acid, basically, because the supplier does standardize it. So they go back in and add back lactic acid if it's not testing as high as it should be. But I find that as a source of lactic acid, it doesn't smell like sour milk.
No.
So it doesn't make the formula smell gross.
So contrary to what you hear, you can actually use your acids with vitamin C.
Yes, you can. Oh my God, that is like a pet peeve of mine when people say you can't use vitamin C with acids. If your skin can tolerate it, go for it. The problem is, I think typically vitamin C, to remain stable, if you have a standard ascorbic acid and it's not protected by an encapsulation delivery system or anything, it does have to be in a formula at a pretty low pH. So I think the thought process there is that you've got two low pH products that could exacerbate irritation. But if your skin isn't seeing irritation, you're not turning red, it's not burning and stinging, totally fine. Now there's a fruit enzyme complex that we're also gonna add. These proteolytic enzymes were also shown to help slough off dead skin cells. And it has enzymes from like pineapple, lychee, kiwi, starfruit, passion fruit, maybe banana. I can't remember the exact list. But yeah, we're like basically making a smoothie for our faces right now. Whoa, it's kind of a smoothie, skin smoothie for smooth skin.
Hey, new product idea.
There we go.
I want to know how you can keep yourself from putting like every single good ingredient that you can think of in one formula.
It is impossible nearly. I used to really over exfoliate my skin, just not even like because I didn't know better, but because I would get so excited to try all the new concoctions. Since your skin can tolerate that, we didn't go with some of the gentler options for your exfoliants. We did use glycolic and lactic acid in the one we made, but there are some really interesting technologies out there nowadays. Like Youth to the People in pharmacy and their alpha hydroxy acid, they use glycolic and lactic bound to arginine. So arginine is an amino acid that basically forms a complex with different molecules of the acid and kind of gives it like a time release, so you're not hitting your face with all of it at once. I like that. I don't have that ingredient in the lab though, so we didn't use it. We just used the regular glycolic. But then aside from that, there are other options for people that have sensitive skin, and I'm very privy to those because I have sensitive skin. So that's why we also used that enzyme complex. Now we're going to do another type of acid, polyhydroxy acids. So these are a much larger molecule than like glycolic and lactic acid, so they are a lot gentler. Again, like I said, I don't ever find that PHAs by themselves do too terribly much for my skin, but I love a PHA in a formula with other AHAs. And I wish I had mandelic acid because we've added glycolic and lactic, which those would actually be powders, but we have the solution form of them. Just FYI, if anyone's watching and confused. But polyhydroxy acids are super hydrating. This actually is a solution that contains water, glycerin, gluconolactone, lactobionic acid, and honey. So it's going to help provide some rebalancing benefits while also providing that gentle exfoliation.
So how do you know if the pH is safe for the skin when you're making something? Do you test it afterwards?
Yes, we test after. I have a pH meter, so we'll go and do that.
I mean, I'm sure you kind of like know what the pH is going to be in your head.
Yeah, there's definitely, usually there are some adjustments that usually have to be made. For instance, that fruit mix, when you add some of the acids, it might bring the pH down to like 2.5, but the fruit acid blend is already set to like 4.5. So it doesn't bring the pH down too terribly much, but some of the ingredients do. I think this one, the polyhydroxy acid honey, has a very low pH. So the cool thing about polyhydroxy acids like gluconolactone, they also can act as a chelating agent. So that is going to give some additional preservation to the formula, which is really exciting. Salicylic acid, unlike some of these other ones, has some oil-soluble properties to it. So it doesn't go directly into the formula. So that's why I have this other beaker right here. And we are going to dissolve it in an ingredient called ethoxydiglycol. That is a solvent that's commonly used to first help the salicylic from like crystallizing out in the formula, but it can also help improve the penetration in the skin. Salicylic acid at 2% is on the FDA monograph for acne. I've got acne, so I'm putting 2% in mine. Because it's oil soluble too, it can actually kind of get into pores. That's why it's known to be pretty good for acne. Help regulate oil and promote cell turnover from within. Help keep those pores from becoming clogged. It's really nice. So now we're going to dissolve that into ethoxydiglycol. We're going to require it to heat a little bit. Once we get that solubilized, we're going to add it to our water phase.
It dissolves pretty quickly.
Actually, yeah. I put those two there and then just put your small one right here. We'll heat those. Yeah. Now we have heated up both our water phase and our salicylic acid and ethoxydiglycol. So now we're going to add this to there. Typically we would do it on like a mixer, but this is water thin. Add that. And the ethoxydiglycol is going to keep the salicylic acid solubilized, although it doesn't typically want to go there. It allows you to be able to do it without alcohol, because denatured alcohol is another really good way to keep salicylic acid in a liquid formula. So now we can see that all the salicylic acid is dissolved throughout here. You've got this lovely liquid exfoliant. So now let's just take the pH, make sure it's between the range of like 3 to 3.5, maybe 3 to 4. And then if we need to, we'll make some adjustments. We're doing it this way instead of just directly measuring the pH because I don't want to contaminate the full batch. I clean this and sanitize it, but sometimes there are little things.
So at what pH would something not be safe for the skin?
So that totally depends on like what ingredients are in the formula, but for something like this, like 2.5, that's pretty low. And then like going much below that, you're burning your skin. So I've never seen anything below 2.5 that I'm aware of. So let's take a look at what this is.
3.5, 3.4.
That is right where we want her. Perfect. I'm so excited that we don't have to adjust it. Woo! I love it. Well, you have got a gorgeous liquid exfoliant right here. I'm so excited. We're going to bottle it up, and you better tell me how it is.
I will. I will.
Like it. So how was it? Are you excited?
Yes.
Was it fun?
It was very fun. Did you enjoy that? Yes. It's like my dream come true.
Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope that was educational and also a little entertaining. We had a lot of fun in the lab, so come back next time to see what we're making and who we're making it with. Bye.
This is a question that I have about smell in skincare. Vitamin C. Why do so many vitamin C's smell like hot dog water?
That's One of my favorite questions to answer. Vitamin C is very unstable in the presence of water, UV, and air. It can start to oxidize and form dehydroascorbic acid, and that has a characteristic color and smell. So you might start noticing that the color of your product is shifting or that it's starting to smell a little funky. Some people say hot dog water. I agree. I hate it. I hate that smell. And that's just an indicator of the ascorbic acid in your formula having degraded. And it doesn't mean it's completely ineffective, but your product is definitely losing potency when that starts to happen. So, you could go with a product with something like tetrahexyldecylascorbate. What SkinCeuticals does to minimize the degradation, they patented that pH range of 2.8 to 3.2 and the combination of vitamin C at that level with tocopherol and ferulic acid at those levels. The ferulic acid and tocopherol are antioxidants, can help reduce the amount of free radical degradation of vitamin C, and at that pH range is where it's optimally stable. Or like I said, you could do something like tetrahexyldecylascorbate that is designed to convert to ascorbic acid once it's processed in your skin, but we don't really know what level, like it doesn't happen at 100%, So that's why we chose to use the gold stabilized vitamin C, because when I was working as a chemist, it was the first one I'd seen that actually delivers ascorbic acid in the active form, because it's bound to gold, but that breaks. It doesn't require enzymatic conversion in skin, because the ascorbic acid is there. It's just in a conjugated complex of gold. And then the glutathione is a precursor to vitamin C synthesis. So that basically serves to help regenerate the ascorbic acid back into its active form if the gold shield does not protect it fully. So anyway,
very cool.
When I saw that complex, that was actually what inspired me to start this line with Catherine. It's funny you should mention.
Yes.
I like PHAs. Have you used a PHA product?
I've used it within, like a group. Like I think True Botanicals has one of my favorite masks, exfoliating masks that has AHA, BHA, and PHA.
I love combining different types of acids, and I think that, whereas glycolic and lactic might be better for the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, PHAs might be better for hydration. They tend to provide more hydration than an AHA, which will also provide more hydration than a BHA. But I like BHAs for blemishes. So I think by combining all of the ones that we did today, it's going to provide many different benefits that you're looking for. So
absolutely.
I'm excited. If you've had a really rough experience with glycolic acid, try Mandelic, or try the one from Youth to the People, or try the one from Pharmacy. There's plenty that you could try that would be likely to give gentler results. And if you just can't tolerate AHAs at all, Equal Reaction has that PHA oat milk one that we were talking about. And that's very gentle too. So just definitely options. But if you are looking for more exfoliant options, Veronica and I both talk about them pretty often. So just go follow one of us on TikTok.
I would be a mad scientist if I had all this stuff at home.
We're going to start with
gloves.
Gloves.
We're going to start with safety protection equipment, is what we'll use. Okay, so, are we done? Yeah. Okay. Well, now I usually do this outro, and I feel so goofy when I do it, but all right. So